Hello there everybody, it's HeroicLegend here, and yes, I'm playing another card game that I will probably have trouble committing to. What can I say, I'm a glutton for punishment. Anyway, we are going to be doing some Master Duels. I don't know if I'm going to do ranked or if we're just going to show off stuff. I kind of want to more grab card packs, but I need to do stuff for that. Let's just see how this takes us. For anyone who's curious, if you run into someone with the name HeroicLegend and you see a Karibo and they have the Infinity Dragon there, that's me. That's my ID as well, so you can know if it's really me or not. I actually do have some replays I might go over with you guys if I feel like the video is too short. Right now, I actually do have a couple of deck ideas I want to try. I have 3 decks. I would have 4, but I deleted one, which is the one that they give you right off the bat. This is Link Generation, the deck I selected first, making the mistakes that I do. This is the Emergence of the Monarchs, which I got for completing said solo play adventure. This is Dynasty Duelist. I'm going to go over this deck really quickly for you all. Mostly because I really like it. So my collection isn't that vast. I haven't been playing for that long. I've been doing things wrong on top of that. This is Dynasty Duelist. If you have been following me on Twitter, you know that I might have tweeted out about this, about the Ancient Warrior cards. They're very Dynasty Warriors aesthetic. I like them a lot. What do you do again that I'm just like... Oh, right, the 500, and you contribute 1 monster, destroy a thing. Again, activation, destroy a thing. That's why you're here for... You're a literal just-in-casey. 3 effect monsters, 2+. Okay. So, this is my Dynasty Duelist deck. My Dynasty Warriors deck, right? We have... I wonder if is there a way to blow up the cards anymore? Oh, like this, kinda. If I do this, and like... No, unfortunately I can't. Damn it. Okay. So I will blow them up later. So we have, first off, 2 Joyous Blossom... Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. They are... For anyone who's new to this, I'm going to be explaining things. Basically, if it's a hand trap, what hand traps are is I activate this card by throwing it away, by discarding it, and I can negate one of the followings. Hand traps are basically stuff that you can activate from the hand to stop your opponent from doing stuff. At least I think that's how it is. I don't know the terminology, please don't judge me. So, Ash Blossom Joyous Spring is one of like the really big staples I've heard about from watching like other YouTube channels that focus on Yu-Gi-Oh! I grabbed one of these from a bundle, then I built another because I was like, this is a good card to just have. So when a card or effect is activated and includes any of these, you may discard this card and negate it. So add a card from the deck to the hand, special summon from the deck, or send a card from the deck to the graveyard. Basically good for stopping combo plays from your opponent. I still don't know when to actually activate these 2, but only 2 copies. We have 3 copies of this bad boy. The Ancient Warriors Masterful Sun Mu. Obviously all these guys are referencing historical Chinese figures. I believe it's Chinese. I hope it's Chinese. They have Guan Yu, which is the patron saint, which is China's patron saint of war. He's also a really good guy, from what I've played and read. Anyway, what he does is, if I control another Ancient Warriors monsters, opponent's monsters cannot attack this card, or cannot target this card for attacks. Very good for keeping him safe, which is good, because I can only use one of the following effects per turn. But if I have him on my field, I can send 1 card from my hand or field to the graveyard and add 1 Ancient Warriors monster card from my deck to my hand, except for himself, obviously. Or I can, if another of their effects activate, I can target 1 monster my opponent controls and I can return to their hands. Bounce. I have 3 copies of him due to his high attack stats, his decent-ish defense, his 4-star rating, and the fact that he can help me search out stuff with kind of minimal cost. Following him up, we have the Eccentric Lujing. He can target 1 continuous spell or trap I control and send it to the graveyard, and if I do, I can add 1 Ancient Warrior spell or trap with a different name from my graveyard to my hand. So I'll be getting to that later. But if other warrior effects were activated, except for damage stuff, I can target 1 spell or trap my opponent controls and destroy it. He's best played in defense mode, he's good for an opener. I actually don't really like having him in the hand, but his ability is pretty useful, and with that, actually, I don't think the first one has a hard ones per turn. It doesn't, actually. Yeah, I could just cycle out if I'm looking for something, and put some of those cards in my graveyard if I want to have them there. Might be better than I think, but I have 2 copies of him. We have 3 copies of the Virtuous Yugioh. Please forgive me for pronouncing these. I don't know how to. While I control other Ancient Warrior monsters, your opponent cannot target him for attacks either. So as long as he and my other guy are on the field, I'll be probably taking direct attacks, which I don't think I want. But at the same time, if my opponent controls more monsters than I do, I can send one card from my hand or field to the graveyard, especially one Ancient Warrior monster from the deck, except for himself, obviously. So he's good for combo pieces, he's a good combo piece himself, and due to his element, I can actually use him for the link summoning of the Ancient Warrior archetype link monster. But also, when an attack is declared involving another Ancient Warrior monster's card, I can just use him to straight up draw. So, if I have him, and I can special summon somehow another one of my Ancient Warrior monsters, which is kind of really easy to do, I can use his other effect if I choose not to, bring out another one right off the bat. I have, like I said, 3 copies of him. 2 copies of this guy, the Deceptive Yugioh. And again, similar to the other guy, I can target one continuous spell or trap and control, send to graveyard, and select 2 face-up monsters on the field until the end of this turn, and I can have the attack of 2 face-up monsters in the field. And if a card your opponent controls is destroyed by card effect of battle, I can target one of my Ancient Warriors monsters, except for himself, in the graveyard, and add it to my hand. But I can only use... Oh, there it is. There's the once per turn. They have their once per turns at the bottom text, so that's why I thought. Again, I have 2 copies of him and 2 copies of this boy right here. The Ingenious Zhu Kong. He's actually one of my favorite ones, because if I grab him from the deck, I can special summon him straight up. And I can send one of... Again, one spell or trap card. When a spell or trap card is activated, I can send one Ancient Warrior spell or trap card I control to the graveyard to negate the activation. Or when a monster effect is activated while I control him, I can also still do that to negate the activation. He's really useful for stopping enemy plays, but keeping him alive is the hard part. I also like using him for the link summons because of how he can special summon himself. Moving on, 2 of this guy, the Fearsome Zhang Yuan. And all other Ancient Warrior monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. Very useful. I wish I had him out more often. He's great because as long as I'm attacking or getting attacked, I can special summon him from the hand, and the monster that's attacking, well, that's battling my Ancient Warrior monster, will lose 1,000 attack just straight up. And if cards my opponent controls are destroyed by battle or card effect, I can target one card my opponent controls and destroy it again. He's really good for that. He's I think he's actually might be more of a staple card in the deck. I have 2 of him, though, because I don't actually like having him in hand. I feel like I miss the timing on his effects sometimes. Moving on, we have 3 copies of this guy. Loyal Guan Yun. See that? Guan Yu. Guan Yu. I love him. If your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and your opponent cannot target other Ancient Warrior monsters you control of card effects. It's really useful for protecting the field. I'm pretty sure it doesn't go for himself, so even if I have 2 out, they're not all immune for card effects. But the point is, as long as I have him out there, they have to target him first. And because his effect can easily special summon himself, even if he goes down and I have the cost for it, I can always tribute. But aside from that, if my opponent controls more monsters than I do, I can also target one monster my opponent controls and destroy it. It's great. I really do love him. Then there's this guy, the Valiant Zhang Dai. I believe it was the 3 buddies that were included as remainder cards. So 300 attack for each monster my opponent controls during my turn only. Very important. I can also use one of the following effects of him once per turn. If I control 2 or more Ancient Warrior monsters, I can special summon him from the hand. Or, if my opponent controls more monsters than I do, I can activate this effect and make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. The two attacks. Oh, I can use that to basically, make one of my stronger ones just remove all threats from the field. Finally, we get to the 2 big boys. We have the ambitious Chao Dai. Once again, control other ones cannot target him for card effect, and he can't be destroyed by battle. Really one of the boss monsters of the deck, since he has the immunities. And once per turn, I can either, if a card my opponent controls is destroyed by battle or card effect, I can send one card from my hand or field to the graveyard, special summon him. Or, when this card destroys an opponent's monster at battle, I can take that monster and bring it to my side of the field in defense position. Really good for taking out annoying monsters and then making sure my opponent can't use them again. And then finally, there's the big man himself. They can try to change it, but that weapon is iconic and that armor look is too. As well as that red horse. Lu Bu, or Lu Feng, as they call him. He can't be a normal summoned or set. He must be special from my hand by having the highest attack Ancient Warrior monster on the field, even if it's tied. I can only summon special summon once per turn, and once per turn during the main phase, I can draw one face-up monster my opponent controls the highest attack. And I cannot activate monster effects except for Ancient Warrior monsters. But once per turn during the end phase, my opponent controls a monster with the highest attack on the field. Even if it's tied, I have to give it to my opponent. So really risky, but as long as I have basically buffing cards on the field or stuff, it's great. We then go on to Parallel Twister. I actually kind of like this card because it's really good for destroying my own spells or traps. Or again, just throwing it away if I don't need it. I don't mind it being a dead card in the hand because it can either have a use or not. But yeah, destroy one spell or trap card I control, and then target one card in the field. Any card on the field my opponent controls and destroy it. We run 3 of these. We run 2 Lu Bus and 2 Chao Days, and of course 2 of the other guy. Only 1 copy because I only have the 1 Lightning Storm. It's basically good for an opener, like my opponent's just like, haha, I've done all this stuff and my field's set up. What do? Destroy everything. Oh. Well, alrighty then. But it's either spell or traps or monsters. There is the Saga 3 visits. Again, you see 3 of the boys hanging out. During my main phase, if I normal summon a special summon an Ancient Warrior monster, I can target one of those monsters and add Ancient Warrior monsters with a different name from my deck to my hand. And if this card is sent from the spell or trap zone to the graveyard, I can special summon one Ancient Warrior monster from my hand. Oh, and also, but the very important part is that I can only activate I can only use each effect once per turn. But if I send this card, I have to send this card to the graveyard during my second standby phase. Right? So again, I can use the boys up here to, like, recycle or destroy it. Or just get it out faster. It's really useful for opening. I just have to remember to throw it down first. Magic's got my brain working differently. Same thing with Pokemon. The Saga, the Sun Lue Alliance. We see 2 more of the boys. If I control an Ancient Warrior monster with 2 or different... If I control Ancient Warrior monsters with 2 or more different attributes, I can declare 1 attribute, and my opponent cannot attack. I kind of actually don't use it for this first effect. But, I do like its second effect, where if an opponent special summons a monster, or I activate Ancient Warrior monster effect, I can make all my Ancient Warriors gain 300 more attack for each Ancient Warrior monster I control on the field. So yeah, it's really nice. It's also a very good target for shuffling, or for getting rid of. We run 2 of those as well. Then we have this one, which I actually don't get to activate a lot because I tend not to draw it. The Borrowing of Arrows. Target 1 face of monster my opponent controls. I love it because basically, have the enemy monster's attack, give it to my monster, and then if this card gets sent to the graveyard while I control an Ancient Warrior monster with 2 more different attributes, I can place one of the Ancient Warrior's continuous traps from my hand or deck face up on the field, except for, obviously, it's a repeat of it. Good for, again, cycling in one of the other ones I have. You, of course, have 1 Solemn Judgment, because I have only 1. I don't want to flood my deck too much. I've been very bad with card games and my deck flooding. Just plain and simple, when a monster would be summoned or a spell or trap cards activate, pay half my life points, say no, and destroy that card. We then have this, the Ancient Warrior Saga. Defense of Changban. Forgive me. If it battles, your opponent cannot activate any spell or trap cards until the end of the damage step. So it protects it from a lot of nonsense. Except for, certain damage step activating cards. And I can only use one of the effects of it, one of the following effects once per turn. And that is at the start of the battle phase, I can send this face card from my spell or trap card to the from the frickin' area where it is to the graveyard, and monsters my opponent control cannot target Ancient Warrior monsters for attacks this turn. Or I can, if it's in the graveyard, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, I can banish it to special summon an Ancient Warrior monster from the deck, which could help protect my monsters, and of course be used for combo plays, right? There are 2 of those. And then we finally have the last card, one of the last main deck cards, which is the Chivalrous Path. If one of those monsters will be destroyed by a battle, I can send this card to the graveyard instead, and I can only use the following effects once per turn. And that's if my opponent special summons a monster, except during damage step, I can special summon 1 token, which is win, very important there. And when a card or effect is activated that targets Ancient Warriors monsters, I can banish the card from my graveyard to get the activation. Good for throwing away into the graveyard or bringing out to protect things. Well, more like to get bait for this guy, Ancient Warriors Oath, Double Dragon Lords. 2 Beast Warrior monsters, including a Wind Ancient Warriors monster. So all I really need is just the 1 token, or one of the, I believe, 5, 6 I have. All Ancient Warrior monsters gain 500 attack and defense, and once per turn, I can either, when he's first link summoned, bring out an Ancient Warriors from my deck to my hand, or I can send 1 card from my hand or field to the graveyard, and then just bounce a card. Really useful for getting rid of problems. I have run 3 copies of him, because he can link himself twice, and then it's a 1500 attack buff, not including any of the buffs from not including the buff of 300 for each Ancient Warriors card in the field. We also have Crazy Box for, if I want to roll the dice. I want to have a giant monster there. Kind of just there to be there, because I just want to have it. We have Harmonizer, which I don't think I'll ever really be using. It's again maybe this thing can help me out in a real pinch, but I don't really see it happening. I don't have many I do now, obviously. I've done quite a few pulls. And then we, of course, have the Decode Talker, who we just looked at, where any monster he's pointing at, he gives it 500 extra attack. Again, really good for my low damage Ancient Warrior monsters to help keep them on the field. And I contribute a monster. It points to negate the activation of when my opponent activates a card effect that targets cards I control. He's good for protection. He actually has a reason for being here, especially if I have a bunch of low ones, or even if I throw this out just for fusing it. But yeah, that's the deck. I actually think I should. This is a very informative episode. Probably gonna do another one right away to show you guys the deck, maybe in a solo duel or in a duel. As of late, I only saved 1. It was the duel against Yugioh. It's 7 turns. I don't know if it's going to show the whole thing, maybe I can speed it up. I'm going to play it. Right? Now, I misplayed this a lot. I was still learning the deck, and that's, I think, what's the best part about this game, is it's letting me learn the deck through play, and even, I don't have to read. Okay, so we start off, right? So, first turn, I have a pretty decent-ish hand, but of course, I'm still learning the deck here. I don't even have my Karibo up yet, as you can see. Let's speed this up. We're facing an Invoker deck. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm still shocked I won this. Because it was an Invoker Shaddoll deck. So you can see my opponent's doing a lot of play right off the bat. I'm just sitting here confused, too. And I have no hand traps. I don't really have much I can use, truth be told. If I activate this, they activate their own Shaddoll Schism. I'm just kind of hoping I can do anything. Throw him down, throw him away. They, of course, counter the effect. So I'm like, oh dear. Yeah, y'all can see a lot of stuff's going wrong, and if you know how this deck that my opponent's playing works, you might be like, how on earth did you win? Get rid of him, bring him out. Now here's where the fun stuff happens. Obviously, I have my boy. He goes away. Bring him right back. bring out my next boy. I just straight up summoned him because I'm like, that'll help, and it did help out a lot. Of course, I have the Parallel Storm in my hand. Kind of bluff that. Since my boy back, but I think actually that was probably his biggest mistake. Because legitimately, I know what he wanted to do. But because he sent him back, instead of destroying him, he comes right back out, makes him immune to damage, immune to the card effect. Double activations. But firstly, that's my construct now. That one's destroyed for free. And I'm guessing he didn't draw what he needed, so he quit. And I was just like, how did I win? I literally told Jamer, Jesus, Jamer, how did I win? I've since changed up my deck from that, because it was actually different before I did that. Now, before I end this, I actually do want to say, I do have ideas for decks. There's no way to actually look at my collection, which I'm kind of sad about. I thought there would have been. Maybe there isn't, I'm just it's entirely possible. Right? So I go here, I go here. Go to my deck? No. He went back and forth, I'm so sorry. So, create new. I don't like creating public decks, I know they're very good. But the archetype I want to play the most is this. Because I used to run a Vendread deck in Duel Links, and I loved it. Jamer, again, me and Jamer like to pull for each other in games like this, and card games and such, like. I, personally, could see myself putting money into this game. I like this a lot. I like the format. I like the full field better. I'm understanding all the mechanics now, and I'm understanding how my deck works too, which is fun. But Vendreads, I know how they work, and I actually might have a whole engine idea running. I've gotten quite a few of the cards I need. I have a bunch of dust too to craft whatever else I might need. But yes, I want to make a Vendread deck, and I want to show you guys. I want to see it go high rank. It might not, because I don't think it can competitively face like tournament-winning decks. But you never know. Sometimes you may just get lucky, because again, in card games, it's all about the draw, baby. You could have the deck that has all the answers, and all it takes is your opponents draw their perfect hand. Like, obviously, if it's perfect to perfect, I lose. But it's never perfect to perfect. It's rare when it's perfect to perfect. Because there's always a chance that you run into the pieces that combo better later rather than now. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I also was thinking about running Fairy Tales, a deck that has Fairy Tales in it as well, because they'll seem like fun. But that's going to be it from me. This was, a little sneak peek into what you might be seeing on the channel for a bit while it's still the hotness for me. Anyway, well, thank you all for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, you know what to do. Much appreciated if you do. Just go to phone, say laters.